I chose this fast track, ease of doing business, as compared to the conventional way. That's a new approach. Yesterday, prior to the CNN interview with Christiane Amanpour, she asked me, why New York? I said, if you can do it in New York, you can do it anywhere. New York, New York. You're familiar with the song. Now, I'm not going to bore you with the detailed analysis of our Madani economic framework, but let me share with you the concerns that we have in the past. Wahid was right. I'm sorry, there's Zafrul here, Ambassador, and all the dignitaries here, including Deputy Premier from Sarawak, Deputy Chief Minister from Sabah, to signal the importance of this meeting. Now, we have done remarkably well, yes, but we also acknowledge the fact that we are poor and some setback on the issue of governance, of clarity in policies. Now, having said that, when we embark on this new administration, now 9 months after we assume office, the thrust is, of course, to ensure that issues of governance, which include ease of doing business, clarity of policies, and ridding the country of many of the negative impact of the perception that this is essentially mined by corrupt practices. It's a challenge because I remember visiting New York in 2019, prior to COVID. That perception seems to be strong among many of the business entities here. And we acknowledge that. Of course, not entirely true. It's not fair to then consider the whole country as impacted by the problem of corruption. But we acknowledge that things need to change, and we have to use the opportunity to affect change in Malaysia. And as you say, yes, we have done so, our level best, and at the cost, initial political uncertainties. But after 5-6 months, we are on track. Politically, it's very stable. We have 2/3 majority in Parliament, and I don't think we need more than that, and we become a very autocratic regime, which all leaders have a tendency to like it that way. So, be it, we should have a tough, vigorous opposition. And with that, we embark on very clear policies. We started with the economic Madani framework. Why? Because we want to show that whilst we support the notion of sustainability and all the necessary ingredients that could propel the economy, we also have to acknowledge some of the concerns that we have to face in the changing geopolitical atmosphere, our reliance traditionally in the investors from Europe and America, and now with the changing pattern, more trade investments from China, but how to navigate to ensure our centrality and to remain fiercely independent in the face of strong forces. And the economic framework, of course, have to deal with some of the concerns affecting the country. It is a multiracial, multireligious country. We want to make sure that the policy will champion the rights of all Malaysians, that we will consider our duty to champion the cause, the concerns, and that no segment of society would feel marginalized, ignored, or discriminated. It's a challenging task because the majority Malays in the country, of course, feels that after independence, not much has been done, and therefore they need to be reassured. At the same time, the ethnic minorities must be given that sense of confidence that after more than 6 decades of independence, they cannot be treated as second-class citizens. Now, to navigate this, of course, is a major and arduous task. But we are fortunate that notwithstanding all the pressures that we have and the rise of fascism in some parts of Europe and the trend towards the far right in many countries in the West, and incidents of strong intimidation, harassments against minorities in some countries, were able to navigate and ensure stability in this country. And we have a government that represents the core interests and wishes of the majority Malays, at the same time having to assure the minorities and Sabah Sarawak that they have a part and a major role to play in this country. To that aside, we then embark on policies. The major thrust of our policy is our niche, which Malaysia has as compared to many of the countries in the region. So the first major policy pronouncement is the energy transition. We have the commitment to focus on renewable energy. We have the resources, and we have clear guidelines and policies, and with capacity in Peninsula, and more so Sabah and Sarawak, even to be able to export to Singapore, which is of course creating major demand. So you can, that's why you related to this, you have data centers mushrooming in Johor and in Sabah Jaya, partly for the requirements, increased requirements in the country, but also the limited space in Singapore that would have to depend on data centers in the neighborhood in Malaysia. Then, of course, the Industrial Master Plan. I'm saying we are talking about 5-6 months. We have to really focus on these issues. And the Master Plan is, of course, a major shift from the traditional notion of what Industrial Master Plan can do, to look about the potential that we have in various states, various regions in the country, and a shift from sectors to mission-based. Of course, Zafrul is here. The difficult questions should be dealt by him and the Securities Commission and the Bank Negara, and Prime Minister should only give the major guidelines. No, it's just on a lighter note. And after that policy pronouncement on the Industrial Master Plan, we embarked on the midterm review of the second Malaysia Plan, or 12th Malaysia Plan. Now, you know, we are used to, which is not the case here in many Western countries, but initially after independence, we were quite guided by the need to have plans, 5-year plans. Probably at that time a bit left of center, learning from the experience in the East. Some criticize that, of course, this 5-year plan was initiated essentially by Vladimir Lenin. And let me assure you, despite the fact that it is a 5-year plan, it is a mix of a capitalist plan with some concerns about the welfare of the general people, particularly the urban poor and the rural heartland. So that's why we need to have a review as a standard practice, but a major shift, because the midterm review of the 12th Malaysia Plan takes into consideration two areas like renewable energy, like digital transformation, and the renewable energy will include new resources, including hydrogen and rare earth, which could provide some new avenue for growth in the country with stringent requirements because of the concerns and the new awareness about environment, which was not the case in the past. And beyond that, of course, we'll have to refocus on the budget, which will be announced middle of next month. What are the concerns? But we have to then introduce adequate legislation so that there is transparency and clarity in procurement and budget. Malaysia vis-a-vis United States or the West and China. China, of course, becomes a key player in the region, trade investments. But as you know, though there's a recent increase in terms of investments and trade with China, United States have been the traditional player, and the total investments is still number one. Total investments into Malaysia, United States remain as number one. And not only that, we have benefited immensely from the involvement of US companies and investments into Malaysia. I'll give you one example. When Intel embarked upon the investments in Malaysia, into Malaysia, and decided to set up Euro investments, which means that sense of confidence is there, and I think we have managed to attract, to ensure that Malaysia remained as an attractive destination for foreign direct investments. But when it comes to China, as mentioned this morning with the U.S. Business Council, dinner with Kamala Harris, the Vice President, in Jakarta, of course, she did express some concern whether we are tilting towards China. My answer is unequivocal. We are fiercely independent. The United States have been our traditional ally, and we welcome their participation in many issues that we share with the United States. And on a personal note, I said all those days, my tribulation and predicament, the United States, whether it's under President Clinton or President Bush, has been totally supportive and championing my cause, and of course I'm indebted to them in the United States for very positive, dynamic foreign policy. With China in the last years, and of course in this administration, we have excellent relations. And that to me would place Malaysia in the region in a unique position to utilize and exploit this opportunity and engage to the benefit of U.S. investors and Chinese investors. And I'm not encouraging this tiff between China and the United States. It doesn't help us. In fact, the tension is worrying as much as the Ukraine-Russia conflict, because it will cause anxiety and concern among countries. But given the stark realities of geopolitics today, that probably we will be able to use our small role to reduce this tension, at least among the investing and business community. I will deal with some specific questions and in the Q&A session, and my colleagues would, of course, be of assistance, which I have suffered so much in my life, so please don't ask me difficult questions. And then I think following that, of course, the Governor and the Security Commission would be answering some other questions. I'm just joking. It's a free country. Malaysia believes in democratic accountability, so no holds barred. As long as you provide me good lunch, anything goes. Thank you again. Thank you.